If you're like me, waking up every morning wondering what the hell is going on, you're not alone. Listen up. I have a few things to say that may help you. What we're seeing right now, my friends, in real time, is something that is sadly universal. It's ubiquitous. What is it? It's the unchecked, raging ego on steroids in full display. It's always destroyed our world. It's destroying our world right now. It's the same ego that divides families, that controls relationships, and suffocates our children. This didn't begin in Washington, my friends, on some political debate stage. It begins in our homes. The people who dominate, manipulate, and incite fear in relationships or on the political stage, believe it or not, were once children. Children who were raised to believe that power is something you steal, you rob, you take from others, not something you cultivate from deep within. That the way to feel secure is through acquisition, domination, possession. That to connect with others is to own and control them. You see, these adults were once children who were probably raised in homes that conditioned them to believe that relationships are transactional, that people are pawns and puppets, and the earth is to be devoured at will. They were probably raised without much empathy, certainly without a deep moral obligation to take care of those who are less privileged. And we as a society keep entering relationships with these kinds of people. We keep electing them. Why? Because somewhere we are broken too. This, my friends, is our co-creation. Most of us were raised in systems of control and fear, you see. We were victimized by adults who brainwashed us into fear and domination. So, what choices does such a child have? Either to grow up to be the bully themselves or continue to stay the victim. You see, unless, of course, we wake up. It's easy for a victim to stay a victim. This is how they were conditioned to be a blind follower, to bury their head in the sand, to suspend their inner authority and power. So the question to ask yourself is, are you on the side of the maniacal bully, or are you a blind follower? And the third, more enlightened choice, of course, is, are you waking up? You see, the systems that the ego uses, the strategies, are universal. What are they? Number one, domination and control. The ego fears losing power at all costs. So what does it do? It will seek to own everything: people, narratives, newspapers, the truth itself. It convinces the child, the blind follower, that the only way to safety and security is to let someone else dominate you. This is how children in authoritarian homes were raised. They were raised to believe that questioning authority is dangerous, that their voice, their emotions, their inner knowing is secondary to the rules of the house. So how do we break free? Well, we need to see the control and fear manipulation tactics that are being played on us. We need to stop being a blind follower. We need to wake up and make conscious choices that are grounded in empowered reality, not fear. The second strategy that the ego uses is separation and division. You see, the ego thrives on otherness. It needs to divide and rule. So it convinces us that we are different, we are separate, there's an enemy out there. And parents do this by dominating their children, by shaming them, by creating paranoia in the home, by telling them that they are good when they obey and bad when they disobey. So children grow up with this internal split that they then project onto others, turning others into the good group and the bad group. So how do we break free? It is only when we see through the illusions of our differences and arrive at our common universality that we will resist turning friend to foe. Realize that skin color, race, religion, and wealth are illusions of differences. There is no real difference amongst us. The third strategy that the ego uses is that it worships money and status. You see, the ego is empty inside, so it needs titles and wealth and possessions to prop itself up. So when parents raise children to believe that success is measured in wealth, that their value is measured by what they possess, of course, if we were raised like that, then when we see status and success outside, we get beguiled by it. We are seduced by it. And so we hand our power over to others who we think have it, but they weaponize it against us. They abuse it. So how do we wake up? Well, we need to stop giving our power to people who use success against us. So there are many things we need to do during these turbulent times. We need to become aware. of the playbook, of the control strategies, of the manipulation. We need to question before blindly following. The next thing we need to do is protect our most valuable asset, your mind. Watch mindfully about what you consume, who you are with. Don't just blindly follow and feed the fear, because what you feed grows. You need to be an empowered presence. Be the eye in the storm, not the storm. Another very important thing you can do is build community and connection. You see, they want you distracted, afraid, and isolated. Do not let them succeed. Reach out, connect with others. The stronger you are in unison with others, the harder it is for the tyrants to dominate you. The next thing you need to do is do not let fear rule you. You see, fear is the ego's greatest tool. But the moment you recognize it, you begin to dissolve its grip on you. And the most important thing, use your voice. You see, controlling systems in parenting or politics thrive on silence. I always coach my clients, speak up. Speak up, use your voice. You have an empowered inner knowing. Do not let it slide away. You see, controlling systems expect you to cower, to obey, to watch quietly from the sidelines. But history has shown us when people refuse to be silenced, when they make noise, when they stand together, tyrants fall. This is the ego at play, and this is why I teach what I teach in conscious parenting. Because until you recognize the ego that you were raised within, the childhood ego that you were inherited with, that you inherited from your parents, you will keep falling prey to the ego on the outside. It is all ego. Sometimes it looks like two politicians fighting in the Oval Office. Sometimes it looks like a husband yelling at his wife for wearing something inappropriate. Sometimes it looks like the parent who's screaming at their toddler or teenager because they didn't listen to them. It is all ego. This is not truth. It is an absolute illusion. This is not reality. This is a twisted game of playing checkers with people's lives. This is the game of the ego. So if you name it, you can tame it. Call it for what it is. Do not fall for the lies it tells. Do not be seduced by the game of the ego. This is why I teach conscious parenting, because everything starts in the home. If you want a world that is conscious, just, and free, well, first, you must raise consciousness within you. So this is what you are asked to do during these turbulent times, to recognize the ego outside, to recognize the ego inside, and realize it is time to wake up. You are not the puppet. You are the one holding the strings. You do have power. How you use your mind right now, how conscious you are, how intentional you are, how connected you are, matters. Do not stay silent. Do not look away. Do not let fear paralyze you into obedience. They are counting on your silence. Speak up, rise, make noise. Dethrone the ego within yourself and outside. If this message has resonated with you, share it. But most importantly, stay awake, stay empowered, stay free.